right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's college info session with the University of Vermont. My name is Rachel Worsham, and I'm a post-secondary access advisor with the Game Plan College program at the Emily K Center. I'm here with my colleagues, Dwayne and Jackie, as well, as well as Carrie from the University of Vermont. So I will just go ahead and hand it over to you, Carrie.
Awesome, thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Carrie Pratt. I'm a Senior Assistant Director of Admissions at the University of Vermont, and I really appreciate you all taking time out of your day to be here to learn a little bit more about UVM. I have a short presentation that I'll do to give you a little bit of information about what the University of Vermont is about, and I'm always happy to take any questions that you might have. I will have some space at the end of the presentation to take any of your questions. So the University of Vermont is located in beautiful Burlington, Vermont, which is Vermont's largest city. In comparison to other large cities, it's a very, very small city when it comes down to it. And it's home to the University of Vermont as well as a few other colleges in the area. So it's very much a classic kind of college town. And we think that that really brings a lot of benefit to our students. So some of the other ways that we describe the University of Vermont is really a student-centered research university. We have about 10,000 undergraduate students, which we feel really is the perfect size. There are large enough communities where students are able to find different interests that they might have. They're able to really explore an incredible breadth of opportunities, but also opportunities to find many smaller communities and get into sort of the depth of the things that they're interested in. We have world-class faculty at the University of Vermont who really do love to teach. We have what we call at the University of Vermont a teacher-scholar model, where all of our faculty members are both teaching and doing their own scholarship. So for example, if you're a science major, you can be sure that your science faculty member who teaches your biology class is also a renowned expert in the field of biology and is doing their own research on campus. And the same is true for all of our different areas of study, whether that's a science major, whether that's music, whether you're studying in the humanities or engineering. Our faculty members are experts in their field, which gives you access as a student to incredible research and to incredible opportunities to get engaged yourself outside of the classroom. We also will think of ourselves as an outdoor and an urban learning laboratory. So if you haven't visited Vermont before, you may not know that we are actually home to lots of different sort of types of landscapes. In Burlington, we're right on a very, very large lake. It's one of the largest lakes in the country after the Great Lakes. And then we're also very close to the mountains, the Green Mountains. UVM actually stands for University of the Green Mountains in Latin. That's why it's UVM and not UVT. So we have really, really beautiful mountains nearby to us, probably within less than 30 minutes, students are able to access the mountains. And then within less than a 10-minute walk, students are able to access the lake. And the reason that that's such an important part of our campus community is because we really feel that we are an academic ecosystem. We're a place where one piece doesn't make up who we are. It's not just our campus, it's not just our classrooms, it's everything coming together. So that's our campus, our classrooms, the lake, the mountains, and the city of Burlington, which I'll talk about a little bit more later. So all of these things really combine together to make UVM the very special place that it is. So we have over 100 different majors at the University of Vermont, and we really feel that that gives students the opportunity to choose something that is very interesting to them and will provide them a really great foundation for wherever they end up after they finish at UVM. So whether or not you know what you'd like to major in, you will choose one of our 7 schools and colleges, which you can see listed here. So for example, all of our majors fit into one of the schools or colleges, and almost all of them also have a major that's in undeclared, or basically kind of an undecided. So if you know that you're really interested in life sciences and maybe in agriculture, maybe you're interested in animals, you probably would want to choose the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, and maybe you'd be an undeclared major. If you're certain that you want to study business, our Grossman School of Business would be the place for you. So as you're thinking about applying to the University of Vermont, you certainly don't have to have a major chosen, but you do choose one of these 7 schools or colleges. And your admissions counselor, which is me because I work with all students in North Carolina, is happy to help you as you kind of navigate the choice of which college you're going to apply to. There's 2 colleges that you cannot be undecided majors in. One is the Grossman School of Business, because the only major in that college is actually business. And then you choose themes and concentrations after you already establish yourself as a student, whether you like to go in towards marketing, or maybe you prefer international business or sustainable business. And then the other school that you are not able to be an undecided major in is our College of Nursing and Health Sciences. And the reason for that is because all of those majors are quite sequential. For example, nursing, exercise and movement science, we have a health sciences major. Those are very sequential majors that do require kind of an immediate jump into those programs. There's also the option to major in one college and minor in the other, or another. So for example, in our College of Arts and Sciences, that has about half of our majors. And so if you'd like to major in something, let's say within the College of Engineering and Mathematical Science, you know you want to be a mechanical engineer, let's say, but you also really like art, or you like music or English, you could minor in another college, for example, the College of Arts and Sciences, to really create the type of experience that you're looking for at the University of Vermont. So all of this is really to say that we are a place where you can kind of explore your passions, even if you aren't totally sure right now at this exact moment what those passions are. We also have very, very strong environmental programs. The Rubenstein School for the Environment and Natural Resources is one place where you may study the environment, but we also have environmentally focused majors in nearly all of our colleges. So for example, environmental engineering in the College of Engineering and Mathematical Sciences, or environmental science in the College of Arts and Sciences, or wildlife biology in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. So studying the environment is a very, very common thing for students to do at the University of Vermont. And as I mentioned previously, our environment around UVM is really conducive to that type of study. Being on the lake, being really close to the mountains, it's a place that is really a living laboratory for students, no matter what their major is. I'll also mention that we do have an honors college at UVM. The top 5 to 7% of our applicants are invited into this honors college, and you would be in your main academic college as well as the honors college if that was an area that you were interested in and you had very strong academic curriculum as you were applying to UVM. So graduating from UVM with honors is certainly something that you could work towards. So as I've mentioned, and you've probably gathered, experience outside of the classroom is also a very, very important and common thing at the University of Vermont. So getting an internship is a very common way to get that sort of experiential learning outside of the classroom, but also doing research with a faculty member, or maybe doing a study abroad that includes some sort of experiential learning as well. We have students who are getting out into the community of Burlington, getting out into the lake, to the mountains, no matter what their major is. So for example, you can see here some statistics. We have 92% of our students getting engaged in some sort of learning outside of the classroom, and that spreads across all majors. Some companies that are based in Vermont that you may be familiar with are things like Ben & Jerry's Ice Cream or Burton Snowboards, but there are also lots of smaller nonprofit organizations and environmental advocacy agencies that are really working on behalf of our beautiful state and our people that live here, and our students are really getting engaged in those opportunities as well. Undergraduate research on campus within, say, a science lab or working individually with a faculty member is also a really, really common thing for students to do. So we have a lot of opportunities for that as well. My biggest suggestion to you, if you think you would like to work, say, in science research, or you want to make sure that you have access to those different things when you come to UVM, is to start early getting to know your professors. And as I mentioned, faculty members at UVM, they love to teach. And so getting to know those faculty members is something that is really encouraged. So whether that's using their office hours in order to ask them questions or to get some advice from them, it's a really, really good opportunity for you to start learning a little bit more about what you should do in order to prepare yourself to do undergraduate research or to get that really great internship. It's something that students can get started on as early as their first year at UVM. So one of the things I think that's really important that you think about when you're considering going off to college is choosing a college that is consistently improving itself. So we think that it's really important to point out some of the new things that we have on our campus. You know, we were founded in 1791, so there is a long, long history at UVM, but there's also things that are very, very current at UVM that are constantly changing and improving. So for example, you can see the STEM complex. We have two brand new buildings on campus. One is called Innovation Hall and one is called Discovery Hall. They're home to our physical sciences as well as connecting to our engineering programs, as well as lots of other classroom space on there. So you can see that picture in the top left, that's actually a lab space and really a collaborative lab space that students are taking classes in. Most of our students will get started in some sort of class within this STEM complex, no matter what their major is, because of the incredible classroom space that's there. We also have a really, really new first-year residence hall and dining hall on our main campus, which is actually just right next door to this STEM complex. That's called Central Campus Residence Hall. And that's a really nice dining option there as well. So we have three large dining halls on campus, one of which being this new Central Campus Residence Hall dining area, which was just finished in 2017. And then the University of Vermont Medical Center. So we actually have the University of Vermont Medical Center, which is a large Trauma One hospital right on our campus. So whether you're thinking about studying the health sciences or you're thinking that you might like to have access to explore the health sciences, that is happening at UVM right on campus. So if you took a few steps out of Central Campus Residence Hall, which you can see that picture in the middle, you'll actually be right at the University of Vermont Medical Center, which you can see in the top right corner. The University of Vermont Medical Center is also currently expanding. They've just opened up a brand new section of their hospital as well. So we really are a school that is consistently investing in our future. And that's one of the reasons that we think that you should invest in your own future by choosing the University of Vermont. And when you choose to sort of invest in the University of Vermont, you can expect a really, really incredible return on that investment. So 92% of our graduates are employed or continuing their education within 6 months of graduating from UVM. 92% of those students are in jobs related to their career goals, no matter what those career goals are. So whether you come in knowing that you definitely want to become, let's say, a physical therapist, or knowing that you definitely want to start a business, or that you would like to be a teacher, all of those things are things that students are achieving, but also things that you may not have sort of dreamt of yet. We are preparing students for life after graduation, as we really feel that that is when the true UVM experience begins. When you come to graduation, when you come to commencement, that's really when all of the culmination of your hard work and of UVM's hard work begins to pay off, and you step out into the world as a really well-prepared and really thoughtful citizen of the world. You can also see some of our medical school admit rates. You can see our law school admit rate. We also have a number of students that are named to very sort of large competitions like Fulbright Scholarship and Rhodes Scholars. So we really do have very, very successful students after they graduate. So stepping away a little bit from academics, we have a very, very vibrant campus life on campus. As I mentioned, the campus element of UVM is a very, very important one. One of the things that you'll sort of immediately dip your toes into as a first-year student at the University of Vermont, is one of our learning communities. All first-year students are assigned into a learning community, and you're able to sort of preference which learning communities are of most interest to you. So for example, if you're really interested in wellness, you might choose our nationally recognized wellness environment. Or if you're very interested in leadership, you might want to choose leadership and social change. Maybe if you're that student that wants to start a business, the innovation and entrepreneurship would be a good one for you. This doesn't have to relate to your major. It doesn't have to relate to anything that you've previously established as an interest, but you can preference which ones are most interesting to you, and then you will be assigned into one of those learning communities. That learning community serves as another area that you can start to kind of dive into outside of your academic college. So you'll have your home within your academic college. You'll also have your home within your learning community. All students, as I said, in their first year are assigned to one of these learning communities, and they may choose to continue on in their second year as well if they choose to live on campus. So many students are choosing to live in one learning community their first year and then transitioning maybe into a different one in their second year, staying in the same one. it's a great way to start building that community. We actually just sent out the learning community placements for our incoming first-year students just last night, and so we have many very excited incoming first-year students next year who are starting to kind of figure out what it might look like as they live in sustainability housing or an outdoor experience housing, as a really exciting piece of the puzzle for many students. In terms of community and campus involvement outside of your academics and outside of your learning community and the place that you live, we have many different clubs and organizations. We're NCAA Division I in all of our athletics, and we have 18 varsity athletic teams. You can see basketball represented there. In the top left, that's a hockey game represented. Those are the two that really tend to draw our students' interest. We have many other athletic programs as well. We do also have club and intramural sports. So if you are an athlete currently or you'd like to explore a new sport, even if you're not feeling like the D1 level is going to be appropriate for you, we do have lots of options for you to stay active and well on campus. Wellness is a really big part of our campus life. We also have other opportunities for you to explore. So you can see the pottery studio there. You can see the cream barn, which is our dairy barn on campus. Live music as well. There's so many different ways to get involved at UVM and to take the passions that you currently have, that you've developed in high school, whether that's for service or for sports or for music, and then develop them. And you can also discover new passions and new interests and get engaged in different ways. UVM is the type of place where you can kind of develop into the person that you would like to become, because there's so many opportunities for you to explore here. So Vermont, if you haven't visited Vermont before, I'm partial because I am a lifelong Vermonter, but I think it's one of the most incredible places in the world. The mix between the urban sort of downtown Burlington feel combined with the mountains and the lake, it gives it a really amazing feel. You can be in the lake and then having lunch in the city of Burlington and then up on top of a mountain all within a single day. And many of our students are finding themselves doing really just that. Yes, Vermont is an incredible place to ski and snowboard, but it's also a place where you don't have to do that in order to be involved and engaged in the outdoors or elsewhere. If you are a skier or a snowboarder, we have great opportunities for you. Students are getting discounted passes and really making their way to the mountains quite frequently. But again, if you're not, there's plenty of other ways to get involved. Burlington is not just about the beauty. It's not just about the downtown sort of eateries and the mountains and the skiing. It's also a really incredible place to launch your career. Vermont was ranked number 5 in the US for startups. It was also named a top 10 tech hub. So it's a place where students can get that hands-on experience in a really accessible way. So if you can kind of visualize UVM at the top of a hill, as you go down that hill, you kind of get right into the city of Burlington, and that's less than a 10-minute walk. And so students can very easily walk to internships at most of these organizations that you can see here. No matter what their major is, no matter what their area of interest is, there's something in Burlington that can suit a student's intellectual and career desires, and it's very accessible in that way as well. Going back to sort of the, extracurricular type activities that Burlington has to offer, here you can see a map in the bottom right corner, just so you can kind of get a sense of where we're located in relation to other areas. We do have the Burlington International Airport in Vermont. It's just a very short distance away from our campus, less than 3 miles away. So we do have easy access for flights. And then we're also very easy access, less than 4-hour drive to Boston, less than a 2-hour drive up to Montreal, and then just maybe 5.5 hours of a drive to New York City. So students have access to those places as well. Maybe not an everyday type of thing, but something that they can make a part of their experience at UVM. But those are not the only places that excitement happens and that students can see, say, live music or eat at great restaurants. Burlington is a really stellar town for those things as well. So we have the Flynn Theater, which you can sort of see that picture with the nice Flynn marquee. They have different Broadway performances come through. We have local theater company. We have music, acts that will come through. And then also a really great place for any type of food, especially local food coming from our local farms, vegan, vegetarian, very, very common in the city of Burlington. So to shift gears a little bit and just talk about the admissions profile, this is for last year. We just are wrapping up sort of our this year statistics. So these are from last year, but I have seen a sneak peek of this year's statistics, and they're generally the same. So an average GPA of an admitted student to the University of Vermont is a 3.7 on a 4.0 scale. And we totally understand that you may have a different grading scale, or you may have, different ways that your schools assign grades, and that's completely fine. I consider it my job as an admissions professional to take a look at the applications in the context of their school and be able to really take a sound look at an application and what is provided to me. We do also require either the SAT or the ACT. You can see our sort of middle 50%, meaning that about 25% of the students fall below these averages and 25% of the students fall above these averages. You can see that on your screen for the SAT and for the ACT. I'd be happy to answer questions about that. I know that this time, right now is just very up in the air, very confusing in terms of SAT and ACT and when they will be offered and things. I'll just share that as of right now, we do still currently require either the SAT or the ACT, but we are working literally on a daily basis to take a look at what's going on, in the world around, to see what is available to students, what is not available to students, and make sure that we are offering, the best possible guidance. So, for example, if you have not had access to take the SAT when you come around to applying to UVM, you can rest assured that will not be a required part of your curriculum, say if the SAT has not been offered. But as of right now, we do require either SAT or ACT. We're taking a look at the GPA and the SAT, both very much in the application process, and that's going to be our primary sort of criteria that we're looking at. But we're also looking at, of course, all of the other pieces as well. So extracurricular engagement, your teacher recommendations, those things do play into what we call our holistic review. So we are looking at things sort of outside of your GPA and your test scores. You can also see some information about scholarships and financial aid here. So we offer scholarships for out-of-state students between $8,000 and $20,000 per year. And about 87% of our students are receiving some sort of aid, whether that's merit-based financial aid or need-based financial aid. And you don't have to submit any additional applications. So when you apply to UVM, that's your application for scholarships, that's your application for the Honors College, that's your application for everything outside of need-based financial aid, where you would need to submit the FAFSA. We do accept the Common App or the My Coalition app, and those are the only two applications that we have. So I think that UVM is a place that's really all about discovery. It's really all about, taking what you currently like and enjoy and growing it, discovering new things, and really starting to take yourself and kind of shape into the type of human and the type of professional that you want to be in the future. I really hope that you can see yourself at the University of Vermont, even just after this brief presentation. We wish that we could welcome visitors right now, but we unfortunately cannot. We do have virtual visit opportunities that I'm happy to answer questions about, but when we are available to open our doors back up, we do have great options for visits that we hope will be available at some point in the future. Of course, our number one priority, as always, is health and is safety, and we want to make sure that we're aligning with those guidelines. So you cannot come visit yet, but I do hope you could see yourself at UVM, maybe through some of this virtual content as well. So we're going to just shift gears just for a moment here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just share a different presentation with you. So I think that one of the best ways for you to get to know the University of Vermont is through voices of our students. And so I'm going to play a video that has a really awesome Q&A of current students with my colleague Kayla. And that will be a really great way for you to get even a little bit deeper into the student experience at the University of Vermont. So here we go.
Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. My name is Kayla Goldberg. I am one of the assistant directors of the admissions office here at the University of Vermont. We are here today with three of our wonderful current UVM students to share some information about their experience at UVM and answer some of our frequently asked questions at the admissions office. So before we delve into all of our questions, I'll start off by asking you all to introduce yourselves.
Awesome. Thanks for having us, Kayla. Hi, everyone. My name is Brian, and I'm from White Plains, New York, which is right outside of New York City. I'm a senior here at UVM, and I'm pursuing a dual degree. So that means I have 2 majors in 2 separate colleges. The first is in the Grossman School of Business, where I'm studying business with a concentration in marketing. And the second is in the College of Arts and Sciences, where I'm studying political science and have a minor in studio art.
Hello everyone, my name is Owen. I'm a junior studying political science and history in the College of Arts and Sciences. I hail from the great city of Quincy, Massachusetts, home to the first Dunkin' Donuts. And outside of my academics and outside of tours, I'm the vice president of the student body, and I'm also involved with College Democrats here on campus.
Hi everybody, my name is Kyla McClanahan. I'm from Colchester, Vermont, so there's just a hop, skip, and a jump down the road. I'm a senior in the College of Arts and Sciences with an English major and a double minor in history and speech. When I'm not, in the classroom or giving tours with these guys, I am a big part of the kickboxing group here on campus. I do campus recreation kickboxing through UVM, through the UVM gym, which has been such an enriching experience for me.
Awesome, thank you all so much. So, to start off, can each of you tell us about your favorite class so far at UVM?
It's a good one.
Yeah, I can start. One of my favorite classes at UVM was actually in my sophomore year as a part of an honors college seminar. It was called Evolutionary Medicine. It was taught by a biological anthropologist, and we basically looked at human evolution and the cultural evolution that we've occurred, and how that spurred a variety of mismatched diseases that now the human race has to adapt to. And why I love this class so much was not only was it a smaller seminar style class, which meant a lot of discussion, but this class was full of students from all across the university who were a part of the honors college. So this means I was debating with art history and biochemistry students, working together with other engineering students. And I was in a setting with a professor who absolutely loved what he was doing and came into class with that passion. And it was also a class that satisfied my natural science requirement here at the university, but more than anything, it got me out of my comfort zone and gave me the opportunity to take a class that I probably wouldn't have taken at UVM. And that's something that I think is really great about the school, is that you're not boxed in here.
Probably my favorite class that I've taken at UVM that I'd highly recommend to any out-of-staters coming to UVM is Intro to Vermont. It's taught by our great professor, Richard Watts. It basically takes you through kind of like geological times of Vermont to present-day Vermont, politics, history, the geography, everything about Vermont that you can even imagine. He brought in guest speakers. He brought in some people that moved here in the 60s. He brought in the governor, the lieutenant governor. He brought in the state archaeologist. We did a project on a town in Vermont where we went there and asked people on the street questions about their town, things like that. It was a really great class to kind of get to know a little bit more about the state that I'm studying in.
That's an awesome class. I agree. You should all take that. I think my favorite class has been my 2 different study abroad courses. So I did 2 different 2-week-long study abroad courses that just fulfilled one class requirement at UVM. One of them was an English class that I took in London, and the other one was a history class that I took in Ireland. And the Ireland one was my favorite. It was a history of Ireland when I was taking at Maynooth University in Ireland, and it was so amazing and enriching, and it just gave me that historical aspect, which I love because I love history, it's part of my minor, but it also allowed me to study abroad and travel, so it was really a fantastic experience and a great professor.
Thank you so much. It sounds like y'all have had some great experiences with your classes, professors here at UVM, and of course another resource you have aside from your professors are academic advisors. So could you share a little bit about how academic advising works here at UVM and your experiences with academic advising?
Yeah, definitely. I can start off and then Owen, you can jump on in. Something that's really great about UVM is that infrastructure that we have set in place for advising for all of our students. So once you submit your deposit and become a UVM student, you are paired with an advisor that you actually meet at orientation. And this is a time for you to come to university, get your first taste of what it's like to be a UVM student. And you pick your classes and talk about potential opportunities, extracurricular-wise, and just at UVM more generally that you might be interested in. Then within your first year, you meet with your advisor to plan out what classes you're going to take every single semester, but also come up with something that we refer to as our 4-year plan. So they're there for you throughout the entire step of not only helping you with your academics, but with also professional advising. So if anyone's on a professional track like pre-vet, pre-med, pre-health, we also have pre-professional advising available to our students to help make sure they're on the right track and meeting the requirements for all of those paths too.
Yeah, and kind of an experience that I really like to talk about when we talk about advising is my professor in my first semester here at UVM was actually also my advisor. So it was really cool to have that professor in class and for her to get to know me as a student, but also get to talk to her outside of the classroom about life, about kind of who she was, and her to give me advice. And I've had her as my advisor for the last 4 years. That professor is Jan Feldman. She's wonderful. She lives on a farm in Vermont. She has 2 donkeys named Aristotle and Plato, and she's just been great all 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, I have a very similar story to Owen. My first year advisor, because I was undeclared, so I didn't have a major advisor to match up with. So I was given an advisor for my TAP program, which just so happened to be an English class. So it worked out that my advisor for my major just so happened to be the same one as my TAP class. And her name is Helen Scott. She's fantastic. But it's very similar how you sort of evolve with your advisors and they sort of grow with you in the process.
For those who might not know, can you explain what a TAP class is?
Yeah, a TAP class is a great question. The TAP class stands for Teacher Advisory Program, and students within the College of Arts and Sciences all take a TAP class in their first semester. And it's really sort of like, I like to call it like a home-based class, where that professor will then sort of guide you through the transition into college. They help you pick classes for your next semester. They make sure that you're transitioning well into college, and they help you get your, writing up to the collegiate level, all that kind of stuff to help you make a smooth transition as a first-year student.
So much. So, bringing it outside of the classroom now, can you each talk a little bit about how you found a sense of community on our campus? Who would like to start?
I can start. So I come from around here. I grew up not very far away, and I was really concerned that I was going to be feeling like I was just at home and I wasn't getting that college experience that we're looking for. But I found very quickly that UVM has a majority of out-of-state students, which was really refreshing for me. I wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to meet people from all over the world, which I have. I have friends from everywhere. But another way that I sort of found my place, besides being, surrounded by people from all over the world, is the tour guide program. And I think just getting involved in one thing really made a big difference. And you're going to get advice from people saying, get involved in a lot of different things and try everything out. And you can do that, but you don't have to do everything. And that's something that I really, really appreciated, learning as I went along, that this can be your one thing. And the tour guide program became my one thing. And I really created that community that way, which has just been really, really valuable for me. So you don't have to do everything, but try and do one good thing.
Yeah, and I'd echo that kind of, UVM has 200 plus clubs here and tons of organizations, dozens and dozens of different majors and groups to get involved with. So I kind of echo that and say, get involved in as many as you like. Maybe that's a lot of different things. Maybe it's just one thing that you do all the time. But really put on your backpack, go to class, really have an open mind about things and kind of open more doors than you close. We really try to get to know people.
The way that I found community here at UVM was through my residential learning community, and this is something that you'll hear everywhere at UVM, because residential learning communities are really at the forefront of your experience when you're living on campus especially. I'm part of the Honors College, and I live in the Honors College residential learning community, and I love this because the people on my floor weren't just people in my major. I knew I was going to meet business majors in my classes, but my core group of friends, especially my first year and to this day, are engineering majors, are education majors, students that I probably wouldn't have had the chance to interact with immediately in a classroom setting, but because we were all a part of the same residential learning community, in the fall we were able to go apple picking. Every single month we were able to participate in open mic nights, and more than anything, we were able to form really close bonds with each other that we're still igniting and learning new things about each other as seniors to this day.
That's a really great transition, Brian. Actually, my next question was about residential learning communities. So on that topic, could you share a little bit about what those are exactly and what opportunities they offer to students?
Yeah, so a residential learning community is basically a community that you'll choose when you come to UVM, and it's basically on these broader themes, whether it be entrepreneurship, arts and creativity, the wellness environment, leadership, or sustainability. I lived in those ones my first 2 years, and kind of, you live in this broader theme with other students that have a similar interest as you. It's kind of a way to build community, so you have something to kind of talk about at your dinner the first night, and you're usually taking like a 1-credit class or other programming as well. In that, I know Brian I really love his learning community. You want to talk more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely love my residential learning community. There's 9 of them. I'm a part of the Honors College, so I chose to live in the Honors College residential learning community. And really just to break it down, it's a chance for you to break out of your major or your initial academic interest and connect with the university in a completely different way. So you can meet students who are in different colleges, who may be in different clubs, and you're bringing that knowledge back to your residential learning community. But as Owen said, you're able to further learn about each other through a common interest. So students in sustainability have conversations about that. Students in outdoor experience can explore the Vermont backyard that is theirs. Students in the Honors College, we're all taking the first semester seminar together, so we're able to talk about classroom discussions and the books that we have to read. And really, as opposed to being packaged as a box and put into a random residential hall similar to other colleges, UVM is really intentional in making sure that you're put in a residential learning community so that you can find connection here at the university.
Thanks. So, a question that is often on the minds of rising college students: how's the food here at UVM?
I think the food is really good. I don't know. I think there's there's a couple different programs you can choose from. When you're a first semester student, you are on the unlimited dining program, that's how it is, which means you can go into any one of our dining facilities as many times as you would like, when they're open, and eat as much as you'd like. That's sort of the bottom line with that. But once you are a second semester, first year, or sophomore, as you're going through your college years, you can choose to be on a more flexible dining plan where you can have fewer swipes into those dining facilities and use more points, which is a program where every point is like $1 and you can spend a couple points and get an ice cream cone or a burrito or a soup and a salad on your way to class. So you can really specify your food program to what suits your needs the most.
Definitely.
I'm a huge foodie. The food isn't just up on campus. There are so many great options off campus. So if you love food, the city of Burlington has you covered.
That covers it.
Thank you so much. How would you describe life in Burlington to someone who has never been to Burlington or to Vermont, and what's it like living here?
Can I start?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I love the city of Burlington, and I've come to love it even more than I initially came to UVM. And I think that's because I interact with a lot of my friends, like Kylie, who are from Vermont, and they love their state and they love their city. But for me, I had a hard time seeing Burlington as a city because I grew up 20 minutes outside of New York City. My reaction has always been, come and visit me, I'll show you what a real city looks like. But I think we're in a really special place because the city is only 40,000 residents and 10,000 of them are UVM students. So anything that Burlington has going on appeals to the demographic of college students that's right up the hill. That might be music festivals, that might be food festivals. Whatever it is that's happening in Burlington is targeted towards college students, so I think it's really great that the city of Burlington and the UVM community work together as one big community. And I found that every single weekend that there is something that I want to do. It's really hard to stay in my home and just stay in my home because there's always something to do in the city of Burlington.
And kind of adding on to that, one of the things that really makes Burlington and UVM unique is that Burlington really is a city with a big backyard of the rest of Vermont. It's really easy to get outside and kind of experience the rest of Vermont outside of Burlington, whether that be hiking or snowshoeing or backpacking or fishing or skiing or snowboarding. There's lots to experience the rest of Vermont and lots of people who are doing that every weekend.
I mean, these two have really sort of nailed it, but what I do like to say as someone who grew up here is I did not know what a cool college town this was until I started looking at other college towns and realizing that Burlington is really, really unique and cool. It's one of the best places to be a young 20-something person. It's just a really, really great place to study. You have the lake, the waterfront right downtown, and then you have the downtown with all the restaurants and the coffee shops and the live music and all the different things to do. The Ben & Jerry's Scoop Shop is down there. Come on. But then there's also the outdoor experiences, which are just like 10 minutes down the road. Once you get outside of the Burlington sort of city center, you're out in nature and in more rural Vermont, which I think is really cool. It's just a great place to be a student and a growing person. Yeah. Thank you.
So many students at UVM come from New England and the Northeast, but also students are coming from all over the country and all over the world, often from much warmer climates than we're used to up in Vermont and in the Northeast. So for those who might be curious, what is winter really like in Vermont, and how do you get through it as a UVM student?
Absolutely. This answer may be a little bit more silly, but I always like to say for incoming students, the winter is a great time to be fashionable, and you will be able to survive the Vermont winter through just upping the jacket that you're normally wearing. Getting a nice heavy jacket, some gloves, a good hat is more than enough to help you be fine during the Vermont winters.
Yeah, I'd echo that. Get a good jacket, layer up. You can always take it off once you get into class, things like that. And UVM definitely makes it super easy to kind of manage that, whether it be shoveling, plowing, things like that.
Yeah, I'm a Vermonter that doesn't love the winter, which is kind of a rare thing. I do really appreciate winter in a lot of different ways, but what I will say is it can be long. That's my only piece of advice. So I really would recommend making the most of it, because it's going to be around for a while, so don't fight it, embrace it. So I'm not a huge skier, but I always try to get up to the mountain at least a couple times, because it's, people come from all over the world to ski in Vermont, and you have it right at your fingertips. Or ice skating, or the Church Street Marketplace is beautiful in the winter because they put lights in all the trees. You can go to get a cup of hot cocoa and walk around and check it out. So I would recommend don't fight the winter, embrace the winter, and you will be fine, even though it does take a long time for spring to finally come. But it does come.
That's fine.
Well, thanks to each of you for sharing those great responses. Last question for you all. Why did you choose UVM?
I'll start. Yeah, I guess kind of why I chose UVM is I was really looking to learn not just in the classroom but outside the classroom as well. So when I was looking at different schools, I was really looking at schools that had a lot of internship opportunities and other opportunities outside of the campus and kind of in the community as well. I'm really interested in politics and campaigns, things like that. And what I found at UVM was really that it was super accessible. Vermont in the city of Vermont was super accessible with internships. So looking for UVM students, they really want UVM students to kind of work with them, to get involved with them, and I found that kind of accessibility was really helpful in me not just getting my foot in the door in lots of different internships, but continuing in the last 4 years in internships as well.
I think, I've said this before, but I'm from around here, and when I was a senior in high school, I did not want to come to UVM. I was like, no way, I'm getting out of my hometown. And I realized very quickly that I had a really valuable asset in my hometown, and just because it was in my backyard, I shouldn't disregard it. And once I finally took a tour and gave it the chance that it deserved, I realized that it was a fantastic place to learn, and it's just really the best of both worlds. You have this really amazing academic community on top of the hill, and then right down the hill you have Burlington and the waterfront and all these parts of Burlington, Vermont that make it a fun place to live, with the added benefit of the college being right here. So it just turned out to be the best choice for me.
So for me, I'm the first one to go to college in my family, and a Latino student, and these are just two identities that I hold at the forefront of who I am, especially because both my parents didn't get to go to college, not because they didn't want to, but because they didn't have the chance to. So that's the experience that I took into my college search process. I had this dream, and I was really fortunate to have a guidance counselor who became a really important figure in my life throughout my college search process. And I mentioned my guidance counselor because she gave me two pieces of advice to look out for when I went on college tours and I was looking for the right fit college, and I saw them actually come true when I came here at UVM. The first was to go to a school that's under construction, and I think we can all agree that UVM is under construction, and it definitely has been for the past couple of years. But what that just means is that to go to a school that continuously invests in its students, whether it be through facilities or through opportunities or experiences. And every single year that I've been here at UVM, there's always something new and something that's better that's added for our students. And the second is to go to a school that you can see yourself coming back to at the end of your 4 years. So for me, when I was on campus, I could see myself being really happy and successful here for 4 years, but then I tried to look at the bigger picture and think to myself, is this a school that could give me a lifetime degree? And when I thought of it that way, I could see myself coming back to UVM just as happy as I am right now.
Well, thank you all so much once again for tuning in with us for our frequently asked questions with UVM students. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to the admissions office. We're always happy to help. And go Catabots! Go Catabots!
So thanks everyone so much for taking part in that video and presentation. I know that there is a couple of questions or a list of questions that have that were dropped into the chat that I saw, but I did want to just sort of open it up, and if there was other questions that folks wanted to type in before I sort of tackle those questions that were dropped in there, I would be more than happy to do that. I'm looking at the chat and it looks like the questions, I did see them, but I'm not seeing them anymore. I don't know if you can drop them in again just so that I can align my, my thoughts around those questions.
I can read them to you if you
Sure.
can see them.
Yeah, thanks.
So what is your relationship with the other colleges in Burlington like?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. So we have one college that's right in the main sort of part of Burlington. That's called Champlain College, which is a small college, really just slightly down the hill from us. Our relationship with them is one, you know, that's collaborative. We do have an opportunity for students at UVM to take classes at Champlain if they would like, and vice versa. Students at UVM could take a class at Champlain if they wanted to. We typically don't find that the students are super overlapping in their interests between those two schools necessarily. And then the other school in the Burlington area is St. Michael's College, which is sort of just down the road, just a little bit outside of Burlington. You know, not a super, let's say, organized relationship between the two, but I do think that as the three kind of main colleges in the Burlington area, we definitely have connection in that our students are often interacting outside of the classroom space, maybe in downtown Burlington. You know, they're seeing each other at live music shows, things like that. So I would say there's a little bit of an unofficial kind of collaborative relationship between those two, or between the three of us, but there is a little bit of opportunity for students to sort of, if they seek a course at a different school, to potentially take courses at the other schools.
What are your most popular majors?
Oh yeah, sure, great question. So, you know, as I mentioned, we have over 100 different majors, but I would say our most popular majors are probably going to be the kind of common ones that you might hear of at a lot of schools as the most common majors. So things like biology, political science, sort of those kind of pretty common college majors, psychology, or what we call psychological sciences. But I think that the most common majors that we have that are sort of outside of that really kind of typical list would be our environmentally focused majors. So the things like environmental studies, environmental science, wildlife biology, environmental engineering, ecological agriculture, sustainable landscape design, you know, focused around the environment. Those are going to be really common and popular majors, as well as our pre-health majors. So whether that's nursing, exercise and movement science, or sort of hard science majors that might lead a student into a medical career in the future. So whether that was biology or chemistry, microbiology, molecular genetics, kind of leading students into potentially a medical school or something down the road, that would sort of be our list of most populated majors, let's say. But whether the major that you choose is one of the ones that's on that kind of top list, I do think that you can find a really incredible amount of success really from any of our majors.
Let's see. What US state and country are most of your students from?
Yeah, that's a great question. So our most common US state that students come from is Massachusetts. That is a good portion of our students coming from Massachusetts. And then I would say probably second place might be New York, and then we would we would come down to Vermont. So it's mostly going to be out-of-state students. 21-ish% of our students are from in the state of Vermont, and then the other percentage of students are from out of Vermont or out of the country. In terms of the top country, I'm not sure that I could say necessarily that I know that off the top of my head. I think if I had to guess, I would say it was probably Canada. But I think I know we have students really from all over the world, and students are coming. Like we have students that come from China, we have students that come from Europe, we have our international recruiters that head out to all parts of the world, Southeast Asia. We have students that really do come from a lot of different places around the country and around the world.
How important are the college essays for your admissions team? And do you have an example of an essay that stands out to you today?
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned in the presentation, the most important things for us is GPA and test scores. That's really what's going to be most important in our application review. So if you are a really solid and qualified applicant based off of your GPA and your test scores, that's really going to be kind of the primary things that we're looking at. As I mentioned, the extracurricular activities, the letters of recommendation, and the essay, really a nice supplement to that sort of holistic review that we're doing. The type of essays that I really enjoy reading are essays that are well written and well proofread. That's definitely a really important thing. If I'm taking the time to really read the words that are written, I like to see that the student has put in the time to make it a good essay, to make it grammatically correct and things like that. That's important. In terms of the content, I really do like to see students who have written about something that's very important to them, or have written about something that they are really passionate about. I also like to see how students take their learning outside of the classroom. So for example, an essay that I can think of that really has stood out to me was an essay about a student who was really passionate about photography and about a class or sort of an independent study that she had designed for herself so that she could take her really big interest in photography and take it even outside of the classroom and do sort of this independent study, almost internship for a local community organization. So an essay that is about a student who has really stepped up to the challenge of taking their learning into their own hands. I think those are really solid essays. I would say, and this is just sort of a little bit more kind of just a little, casual tip, if you think about the fact that I, as an admissions reviewer, read thousands of essays in a year, I would encourage you to write about something that feels true and authentic to you, so that when I'm reading your essay, I can tell that it's about you and it's not about the past 10 that I read about those 10 people. That doesn't mean that it has to be outlandish, or it doesn't have to be something that's certainly that isn't true, but something that is really authentic to you is going to stick in my mind. It's important to keep in mind that lots of people have scored winning goals, and lots of people have participated in service opportunities and things like that. And so what sort of element of that experience, if that is really true and authentic to you, can you sort of focus on, so that it really does become a great representation of who you are as a writer, but also a good representation of who you are and what you would like to give, to sort of portray about yourself. The essay really is the only part of the application, outside of maybe your teacher, letters of recommendation, where you can really kind of expand upon things. You can expand upon your interest, you can expand upon, challenges that you faced or things that you've overcome. And I would encourage you to take that opportunity to really kind of step up to that challenge and provide something that's authentic to you and a good representation of who you are as a writer.
What are your recommendations to students as they start thinking about asking for letters of recommendation?
Great question. So my first piece of advice would be to ask at least one and maybe two teachers. When I'm reading letters of recommendation, I really like to see a letter written by a teacher. That doesn't have to be a letter that's written by the teacher of the class that you got all A's in. I honestly think that letters of recommendation from teachers where you maybe have struggled and showed kind of what you're made of in terms of, really stepping up to challenges. So for example, if your chemistry class was really, really difficult, or you're trying out pre-calculus this year and that's been really, really difficult. Maybe English has been a challenge for you. asking a teacher who is able to speak to how you step up to challenges and how you have overcome, maybe not always just being a natural at something. I think that's going to be a really solid letter of recommendation. In terms of kind of the nuts and bolts, I would be sure that you, when you do your ask, I would say make sure that you give plenty of time. If you're thinking right now, if you're a junior, or maybe you're a sophomore, and you're thinking you really know a teacher that you'd like to ask, I would ask them as soon as you're sort of really confident that they would be able to write a really good letter of recommendation about you. I think that the kind of most respectful amount of time would be, like 6 or 8 weeks before you need the letter at least. If you think about, a bunch of your classmates also asking that person for a letter, you just want to be super respectful of their time. And then I would also say, and this is sort of, I guess, after the process, but make sure you follow up with a really, really heartfelt thank you, ideally a thank you note, because I think that, these letters of recommendation they take time and they're a really important part of the process, and you want to make sure that the person knows that you really appreciate them. So I think anytime that you can also guide the person about what you might like them to talk about in the letter can also be really helpful. So for example, if you're choosing that class that you maybe didn't do super hot in, and it wasn't kind of the best class you've ever had, telling them why it is that you've chosen to ask them for the letter so that they can know what they might like to focus on in their letter is going to be a good way to get a really solid letter of recommendation.
What role do community-based organizations like ours play in supporting student submissions to your campus? What role would you want us to play in advocating for and supporting our students?
So we definitely work with community-based organizations through the admissions process, whether that's inviting groups to visit our campus when we're able to welcome visitors again, whether that's working with sort of I'm not sure if you call yourself counselors, but like the counseling staff of community-based organizations throughout the process in terms of helping students navigate what's needed and what we have and what we don't have. Also, I think the role that community-based organizations can play is one of, an incredible partnership with admissions folks. I often think that admissions people are kind of given this, I don't know about a bad reputation, but this idea that we are like just looking to deny people or we're just looking to be really harsh. I'm in this work because I love UVM and because I love working with students and with high school students. And I imagine that a lot of the folks who are working at community-based organizations are very much the same way. They're in the work because they love working with high school students. So whenever we can partner around that kind of mutual desire to see our students succeed, I think that's really where we can work together. So whether that's, the nuts and bolts of the process, I really enjoy giving presentations like this or more informational presentations about essay writing or about college fit or whatever it might be. Anytime we can partner together to kind of unify around the success of the students that we work with, I think that's a really successful partnership.
And our last question is, how supportive is UVM's financial aid package of DACA undocumented and international students?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mentioned in the presentation that we do have merit-based scholarship available to all of our applicants. That includes DACA undocumented international students. So that range that I gave you, that 8,000 to 20,000 for out-of-state students, would students that meet those sort of different groups that you mentioned are eligible for those scholarship dollars.
Awesome. So I just want to give everyone a chance, if you'd like to ask another question, to hover your cursor over the chat icon at the bottom and write your question in the chat box. While you're putting your last questions in there, I just want to remind everyone that we do have a full schedule of workshops next week. You can view those at bit.ly/GPC virtual. We also have a feedback form for you all to fill out that I will link below. And if you fill that out, you will be in the running for, thank you, for a $20 gift card. So it looks like that was it for questions. Thank you so much for telling us a little bit about UVM this morning, and have a good weekend.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thanks everyone for joining, and I hope you have a great weekend and best of luck.
Bye.
Bye.